Welcome, everyone, to the Business Leaders Series podcast, where we delve into the journeys, insights, and strategies of some of the most inspiring figures in the business world. Today, we're excited to delve into the world of beauty and entrepreneurship with our esteemed guest, Janice Greenwood. As the founder and CEO of Roccoco Botanicals, Jacine stands out as a pioneer force in the skincare industry. Her innovative approach and deep understanding as a cosmetic chemist has earned her the affectionate title of the fairy godmother of skin. Under her leadership, Rococo Botanicals have become the fastest growing brand in Australia, making significant strides in the realm of skincare. Jacine, it's a pleasure to have you on the show and welcome. First of all, again, as we're talking about, congratulations on another award. Literally, we've all lost count of how many amazing awards you've won, and I think it's just a testament around your real passion for focusing on the product. Because when I was reading up on your story, what I particularly found interesting was your commitment to really learning about skin chemistry, and literally, as you probably shared, not watching TVs and books and just delving really into the business journals. So, Jason, as we talk about business leadership and your specific business as well, it'll be good to understand, how, like, what was your career journey thus far, and we've all read the news around what inspired you to start the business around having a specific problem, but for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, they've kind of go, okay, that's a great idea, and then they stop. Whereas you've really invested the time, doing your nursing degree, getting a lot of diplomas, investing your own personal time and resource into the business. So what gave you that courage to go out and build this up?
I think for me, primarily, it was I actually really love it. And
Yeah.
one of the things you'll often find with successful entrepreneurs is it doesn't really feel like work to us.
Yeah.
And that's really important, right? Because to become a master of something, you have to actually spend a lot of hours being able to master things. They say it's 1,000 hours to develop mastery of any skill.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
if you don't really love it,
Yeah.
that's really difficult to do. So
Yeah.
my first thing would be enjoy what you're doing and really know why you're doing it. Like, why would you start that business? For what purpose
Yeah.
would you do it?
Yeah.
And I think that clarity is really important because especially when you have times in business, which everyone does, when things don't go well, you can look back at that and reflect and go, hang on a minute, this is why I'm doing it. And it's just a really
Yeah.
nice reminder.
Mm-hmm. And then, so for you, what was the reason? Like, was it just like a one moment, this is what I want to do, or was it a moment of continuous reflection, refinement to really hone down into what really drives you?
It had been a long journey. Like
Yeah.
I'd had problems with my skin since I was 14, and
Yeah.
I quite distinctly remember it. I looked in the mirror at 34 and went, great, now I've got wrinkles as well as pimples.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just thought there's just something wrong with the industry.
Mm.
Why is there nothing out there for my skin type that
Yeah.
allows me to treat aging and also doesn't make me break out?
Mm.
And it was in that moment that I made the decision that
Yeah.
there wasn't anything. So therefore, if I didn't bring something out, who was going to do it? So, I mean, the cosmetic industry has been around for, centuries and no one's done it yet. So,
Yeah.
so that was the thing that made me do it because I am not into Botox or fillers and I don't want to age. I would like to look good for my age. So that was really the thing that pushed me to do it. Because 34 is still young. By the time you hit 50, which I'm now 53, I look better now than I did when I was 40.
Yeah. Because I've been looking at your results and it was just like quite remarkable. I was like, wow, like no wonder she's getting a lot of word of mouth. Like, just I think the results just speak for itself. And
Yeah, definitely that has helped tremendously. Like if you've got an amazing product or you've got an amazing service and you go above and beyond for your customers, they will naturally talk. I think if you just do what they expect, no one ever talks. So you have to really give them that wow factor to make them talk. And that's a really big part of growing a business without paid ads, because if you can get them to do that and deliver that really superior experience for them, they will tell other people and you will then gradually grow your brand or your business. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so, in your journey, because I think it's been over 10 years, which is really remarkable of you starting the company and, having your anniversary. I'm sure you've had your ups and downs and a lot of question marks around, is this worth pursuing? Or, because in business, it's not just about the uncertainty around the financials, but it's also just having to say no to a lot of things that you care deeply about. So during your journey, how have you managed that process of prioritizing, but also keeping the mission alive and the flames alive as well? And the
It's
reason I particularly ask this is I've heard that you've got a very inquisitive mind where you're passionate about certain things, but then because of your inquisitivity around wanting to understand something at a deep level, once you understand it, you want the next challenge and the next challenge. So that's probably why I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, keeping your priorities can be really challenging. Like I think first and foremost, it's really important to have a conversation with your family and your loved ones, because
Yeah.
they have to be behind you and supportive of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing you want is to be having a great business, but your family life fall apart or your marriage fall apart as a result of it. So
Yeah.
I think having those ground rules and boundaries of, okay, maybe on a Sunday you don't work at all, or, when is the cutoff time? So
Yeah.
my husband actually will take me away deliberately, and he's got access to my diary, and he will just block out
Okay.
time. So that's
Yeah.
really
So he overrides
important.
your
And
PA. Yeah. Yeah.
he does, he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So he will just block out time. But as you do grow a business, particularly as a female, we'll feel guilty because we do like to socialize and we do like to fit in with people. And I don't know how many times I had to say no to dinner engagements or
Yeah.
things that people asked me to, just simply because I had deadlines to meet. And
Yeah.
I thought, if I go to that, I'm not going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be even more stressed. So it's a matter of trying to pick and choose the right things. But the way I did that was I always look at it through the lens of, how is this going to impact my business? Is this the best thing for the business? And do I need a break?
Yeah.
So I always filter it through that lens, because there's no good being a burnt out entrepreneur either.
Yeah.
You make bad decisions
Well, it's a
when you're burnt
marathon,
out.
not yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So decision making, it's priorities has always been, is this actually going to really grow the business? Is this helping? Because I think also too that we can get busy with being busy. And so sometimes entrepreneurs will focus on things to tick a list off or a box off to say, hey, I've done that. But they're administrative tasks that's maybe someone else could be doing rather than them. And so often, like, I know I've been guilty of this, and I'm still learning to let go more. But letting go of things and letting other people step in and take responsibility is a big one, because you can't do it all. You need a team behind you in order to grow any business. It's impossible to do it by yourself.
Yep, totally agree. And Jacine, you make a very important point, specifically on your partner really blocking that time off for you. And one of the things that I've been reflecting on, just the importance of having a good partner, because literally they either give you the capacity or that freedom to go off and do what you would like to do, or really, I guess, create challenges and really try to find ways to resolve that. But it seems like your partner, he's really focused on making sure that not only are you growing, but also making sure that you're being cared for. I mean, it does help having a wonderful property with the lakeside view, the boats that, that you've shared. And then I think, because I was reading, you had either 5 pets or is it 12 pets? Because I think it's been going up and down, is it? Or
We had 15 at one point.
okay, 15,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
we have foxes where we live, so we had a few
Okay,
ducks and chickens get taken.
yeah, yeah.
Currently, we've got 3 dogs, 4 cats, and a couple of fish.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we've downsized, but mainly due to animals unfortunately passing away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
most of them are rescues.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's such a wonderful moment, at least for me, when when I wake up and there's animals around. I think it just creates a different energy. Um, one of the things that I was really curious about is during your time, it seems as though you've done a lot of different things to what a traditional cosmetic business would be doing. I mean, I think that the best one is your focus on being very customer centric, but also you've been really trying to
Yeah.
figure out different ways to achieve same outcome by using either new chemicals. I think you really focused on the indigenous plants and how they're using the healing to
Mhm.
incorporate into the cosmetics. It'll be good to understand what gave you that idea, and how are you continuing to drive innovation and new creativity ideas within the business.
So with formulas in particular, we only have access to certain ingredients every year, and then
Yep.
each year there's new things that come out, and that's one of the exciting things. You could never be bored with cosmetics because there'll be a new technology, there'll be a new plant that comes onto the market that they've actually commercialized, and so part of our mission is to create the best results possible, and so we look at it and go, can we make our product any better? And so that's something I'm always looking at. Can we improve the results? Can we make it faster? Because for most people who've got skin conditions, they don't want it to go slow. They want the condition to be fixed very quickly. And so we look at that. The Indigenous came about because of just simply a chance introduction to someone.
Okay.
And I always find it's interesting when you go on network how synergies happen where someone will introduce you to someone else. And so with that, the company has isolated some chemical components from Indigenous plants which have never been seen before in Australia. So that should hopefully be coming out next year. But that's really exciting because it's one, groundbreaking and innovative. But it's also, going to give work to Indigenous communities as well, which will be exciting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just such a good way to promote Australian culture all across the world. I think, based on my understanding, a lot of your customers, they're based in the US at the moment, or?
Yes, 80% of our business is USA, and then we've got a very small portion in New Zealand as well. And then hopefully next year we may have India, because we're going there in December to Mumbai.
Wow.
Canada definitely next year.
Wow. Yeah, I think those are big markets, and it's interesting because you've pretty much, even though you're located all the way in Gold Coast, like it seems as you've kind of cracked the market, like literally the opposite side of the world. Like, how did that come about, or how did that happen? Because normally you think your home country is where you focus a lot of your efforts in, but it seems like it's just quite interesting.
It wasn't intentional, to be honest. I just kept following my passion. And so what I did was I just was educating, and I got known as the expert. And from that, they actually said to me, why don't you come over to America and teach? And I was like, really? And they didn't realize I'd never taught before when I came over. And I came over and they absolutely loved it. And from there, it just spread like wildfire. And so that's how we broke the American. And it was the same even with New Zealand. They already knew about me. And that was just purely from my dedication on LinkedIn, my dedication to groups on skin, and putting myself out there. I was doing webinars. Webinars are always good to get your name out there. And so I would do webinars on things that they didn't have an answer for, and that would just get my name known. And some of the people, it took 5 or 6 years to slowly come over, but they just kept seeing me. And I had a few of them said, I just kept seeing you. And after a while, I just couldn't ignore you anymore, which is a great thing. So that's how you know it's getting out there, so that they're aware of you. And then you just keep drip feeding them like little breadcrumbs. And eventually they come over.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, especially in today's world. Like I mean, the cosmetic industry is one of the most competitive industries, literally in any field. And it just shows thought leadership, genuine care, and just building trust within the community makes such a big impact.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, we've had some of the most beautiful testimonials from some of our customers. Like we had one lady who actually messaged, and she said it's the first time ever she's actually felt that someone cared about her skin and the results that she got. And she said she's never had that with any other brand. And so she doesn't feel like it's a brand to her. She feels like it's a community. And that's for me really, that's really special, because you often don't get that like with another skincare company. They're just selling a product. They're not selling a solution necessarily to your skin. And that's why we follow up our customers to make sure that they're happy with their results. Because to me, if they're not happy with their results, then I want to make sure that they are, because I don't want them to have a negative experience with our product.
Yep. Yep. Well said. And then, going into that, diving deeper into your book that you just recently released, would be nice if you can just showcase everyone as well, just so that, amazing. Just go for it. And then, so that's on Amazon, right? They can buy it on Amazon, or where can they purchase it?
It may be. Someone just told me that they bought it. I know it's on Booktopia. Someone just told me they bought it in Switzerland, so it must be available online, I'm fairly sure, but it is available on our website as well.
Okay, yep. So we'll make sure we share the link across to your website, just so people can buy it and just look at, one of the biggest challenges that literally every single business have, which is literally growing the business. It's been, I think, the determiner of whether the great product succeeds or if it just, remains hidden. I mean, just so that people can get a sneak peek or insights into what's entailed in the book, like, is there like a 5-point item that you can share with people around if, entrepreneurs were looking to grow their business, what would be?
Yeah. So definitely what I would just say is, if you're wanting to grow, is be present, be visible, because if no one knows who you are, if you're not posting consistently on social media, you won't get any traction. So that's really important. Like, Instagram doubled my business in a year. And when I first started, I literally had to set an alarm on my phone to remind me to post. This was before they had all of the apps for social scheduling and things. So I had to remind myself to post daily. The other thing is engage with your customers. Like, social media has a word in it called social. And if you don't talk to your customers, if you don't engage with them, you're not going to get a response. So when we first started growing our brand, what we did was people would comment on our posts, and we would actually send them a message saying, hey, thanks for commenting on our post. Is there anything we can help you with your skin? Have you got any questions? And from there, that grew our business quite massively. The challenge with often with business owners is they want customers to jump through hoops, and they're not going to do it. So meet the customer where the customer is at. So if I have a customer message me on Facebook, I'll just message them back. If they message me on LinkedIn, I'll message them back. If they message on Instagram, we'll message them back. I don't say, can you go here and fill this in, because it's sort of frustrating and deflating for the customer as well. So that would be the first thing I'd say, is meet them where they're at and engage with them. Because often customers actually just want to feel heard and listened to and actually cared for, rather than just being a number. My other thing that I'd say for getting yourself out there is become known as an expert. And there's lots of ways you can do that. You can write blogs. Blogs are so underrated. They're amazing for SEO. They're amazing for getting you out there. The other thing I'd say is look at the marketing that you can do that doesn't cost you anything. I am always amazed how many people do not have email lists. Like, we've got businesses that do not collect their customers' data. You could be sending them like a birthday surprise. If you're a restaurant, you could be sending them an anniversary thing for their anniversary to get them in. We get a lot of sales from email. It's like one of the most underutilized business tools, and it doesn't really cost you anything to do it. It's just a bit of time to put an email out. So definitely those. And the other big thing I would say is focus on what is actually going to bring in money. As I said before, many business owners focus on ticking a list off or a task list rather than, is this actually going to generate income? And is this actually going to bring in business for the business? So you really do need to focus on that. And then my next thing would be, the moment you can, hire or outsource, because you can't do it all, and you often will miss opportunities because you physically can't do it because you didn't hire. I had one smart coach say to me one time, he said, if an excellent salesperson is standing in front of you, whether or not you have a position for them, hire them, because they'll pay for themselves. They will pay for themselves. If they're good at what they do, they will bring in revenue and they will pay for themselves. And I think that's where one of the biggest things where people don't move forward is they're afraid of, what if I don't have the revenue? What if I don't have the money to hire this person? I still remember when I hired my son-in-law at the time, he was complaining about the job that he was working at. And I said, well, quit and come and work for me. And my daughter, who also worked for me, politely reminded me that they had a mortgage. And could I afford him? And I said, well, actually, no, I can't afford him, but I need him. And I said to her, when have I ever not been able to pay you? And she said, never. I said, just trust me. And by the time that pay cycle came around, I could pay him. It's because instead of me making the products, he started making them because I taught him how to, which meant I could spend more time doing marketing, which is my genius zone. So it's about playing where you're really good and leaving the other things where you don't do so well in, getting other people in there as soon as possible, because then you're leveraging your time, and that has a bigger impact on the business than doing mundane tasks.
And I think, you covered a range of topics from being customer centric to leveraging your time, but at the fundamental, what I really heard from you is the mindset. That's been the game changer. And what I'll be quite interested in unpacking is the reality is, and I think you're quite a strong believer in this, which is the visualization, really having a strong belief, having the courage to fail fast so you can find the right solution. In your journey, what's helped you build a mindset that you hold till date? Because it seems as though, the reality is, to be very frank with you, very few people would have the mindset that you've just kind of shared. For a lot of people, they'll be like, okay, we can't afford it. This doesn't make logical sense. As many accountants or financial CFOs may be saying. But, what you've also shared is something that's quite fundamental, which is self-belief. In terms of finding a way to figure it out.
I think, look, mindset, when I started this journey, I was not like I am now. And people need to know that, because often they look at someone who's successful and they go, I can't ever be like that person. I mean, I remember when I first started in business, someone who I looked up to, she actually said to me, she said, you remind me of me 6 years earlier. I looked at her and went, no. But I'm nothing like her. And she was right. I just had to grow in business and I became like her. I think the big thing with mindset is it is self-belief and it's repetition. So, with my vision board, I would watch that daily. And after you start to watch that daily, or you start to repeat mantras in your head, you actually start to believe them after a while, because, when you listen to it all the time, I used to have subliminal messages on my computer, and I still do. And so I used to brainwash my children as well. And it would have things like that they remember facts and figures easily, that they were kind, that they were intelligent, those sorts of things. And we spend so long on our computers. Why not make your work part of your actual psychology, where you're retraining your brain? So it is a gradual thing. It's like showering. You need to do it more than once. And so the more you repeat things, the stronger those neural pathways become, and the more your belief is in yourself. And I think the more you believe in yourself, the better decisions you make, and the more calculated risks. Because I'm not I'm a risk taker, but I would not make, foolish risks. But you take calculated risks to go, I'm going to back myself and I'm going to believe in myself, because we have to really develop that belief in ourselves. Because if we don't believe in ourselves, then others won't believe in us either. And often we want people we want that external validation to go, I believed in you, so you kept going. But you'll often find the journey of entrepreneurship can be a little bit lonely, and often your family aren't behind you when you first start. They'll be like, "Why are you doing this? Why don't you just go back to your job?"
Yeah.
It's risky, why would you do that? And like, to me, this is why you really have to have that strong story of why you're doing it, but that continual repetition of self-belief, whether it be vision boards, affirmations, repeating things to yourself. You like, my internal dialogue is very good. I mean, at one point it was very different. My internal dialogue is, Jacine, you always find a way. If I ever ask, how am I going to get out of this? My internal dialogue is, you'll find a way. You'll always find a way. You'll always land on your feet. Think creatively, think strategically. So I think one of the big secrets with that is actually meditation and breathing, and just calming your nervous system, because when your brain is scattered and you're stressed, you can never make a good decision. You just can't. And it'll sound corny, but this line from Kung Fu Panda has stuck
out of all the
with
places,
me. Best line from that movie, when he's agitating the water. And you can't see clearly when you're agitated, just like an agitated pond, you can't see the bottom. And so for me, that's always stuck with me, that you actually need to have a calm mind to make good decisions. And you'll find that if you just take yourself away from the problem and just relax and meditate, you'll come back and you'll actually get the answer of what you need to do.
Yeah, and then, like, for a lot of people, some of the best ideas literally come from when they're having the shower, when they're going for walks, or just the most unexpected places. So I think, it's just a good reminder that being busy doesn't mean it's actually being productive. Sometimes the best ideas can literally be happening when you're speaking with a friend, doing something you enjoy. And I think that's quite important.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, you talked a bit about family as well, Jacine. One of the things that would be very important for many of the listeners is the connection around, as a female entrepreneur, as a mother, the key theme that does come out is a bit of guilt, especially as a mother, like giving time for the kids as well. Like, how have you done that? Because it seems like it's like, for a lot of people, it's always a balancing act that's always changing as they're growing up, as their needs change as well. And I think, especially in the female entrepreneurship and the female corporate space, that's been the biggest thing, is the guilt factor.
Look, it absolutely is. I mean, my son had his wisdom teeth out yesterday, and I didn't take him to the hospital. My husband did, which is his stepdad. And I did pick him up, but the guilt will always be there. But I think the guilt comes more so from the fact of worrying that they think you don't love them. And like, I think just reassuring the kids that you absolutely love them and that you know what you're doing. And like, if I think of why do I push myself, and I think partly it's because I want to help people and I want to get things out there, but also too, I want to inspire my own children that you can be more than what you think you can. And that if you love something and you dedicate yourself to it and you don't quit, you will make it. And it's been such a great journey for them, because can I be honest, from when my son is now 21, because I had a business prior to Rococo that failed. And I remember him coming up to me when he was 6 years of age. And he said to me, "Mum, my friends say you're weird." And I said to them, "I am weird, sweetie. Just remember, there are no normal millionaires." And at that time, I was not doing hardly any revenue. But I had been brainwashing myself for so long that that's what came out of my mouth.
Well, that's what you need.
And
that is
he just walked away happy. And now, like, it's exciting because they saw the growth with me. And now my son is doing a business shortly. And my daughter is going to do a business.
Wow.
And so they've seen the progression. And I know at one point they didn't think I'd make it either. And so to see the progression of, if you don't quit and you keep going, you will get there, I think it's really inspiring for not only them, but for other people as well, because we all think we've got to be some special person where everyone has their own unique gifts. And, you know, if you hone in those gifts and you love it and you keep practicing whatever it is, whether it be photography, whether it be music, whether it be business, you can't help but rise to the top if you keep at it and you love it and you dedicate yourself. Because cream always rises to the top. Most people don't improve themselves. So if you just improve yourself incrementally every week, you have to rise to the top, which is literally what I did. I just kept doing and I just kept learning and I kept discovering things. And to me, that's why I've ended up rising, is because my knowledge base just kept growing and growing and growing. But that's what I'd say to people. Just keep going. Don't quit. And just, if you are feeling, you know, struggling, then find someone to talk to, because I recently had an entrepreneur who'd been going for 2 years, and she rang me because she said, I want you to talk me down off the ledge. She wanted to quit. And I said, there's nothing wrong with your product. You haven't got the right marketing. So I sat down with her and gave her a bit of a hand. And, you know, like, I think that's the challenge, is it's just getting that right advice. And when you don't know, when you're first starting a business, you don't know what you're doing. You're fumbling in the dark. I did the same thing because I couldn't afford a coach when I first started. I just looked at books and went, well, I'll do that. I'll do whatever I can do. But my advice would be, consume any free content you can get your hands on. Anything free on YouTube. Read books. They are like a person instilled into a book. And you'll get a wealth of knowledge, because that's what I did when I first started. And there's so many valuable lessons in books if you read them, or if you're not a reader, there's Audible as well.
Well said. And you know, I think in today's world, like, the amount of free information that's out there, it's just really incredible. I think the libraries have a ton of great books there as well, so it's not going to cost anyone anything. I mean, some may say that if they looked at your life story, you've always been an entrepreneur. I think I heard that you started selling T-shirts or cleaning T-shirts when you were age of 14 or something. Is that right? Or
I was actually doing ironing. I propositioned a geography and history teacher to iron their clothes at 12 because I wanted to do ballet. And Mum and my dad was a priest, and Mum didn't earn any money, and they couldn't afford it. And I'm not one to take no for an answer, because I wanted to do it. So I thought, I'll find a way to do it. And so I ended up doing ballet. I didn't get anything else but my ballet, but I was happy.
I think sometimes it is, as you said, it's a mindset. I think that's what really drives the entrepreneur. It's going, okay, well, I want to create this. How do I find a way? And having that self-confidence. I mean, one of the highlights that, you know, is a remarkable feat within the Australian business community is you winning the Citi Ali Award. So are you able to kind of share a bit about the importance of that and how that experience has been? Because, you know, it is one of the most well-known awards out there and hard to win.
So when I first looked at entering that award, I actually chickened out, and because I looked at it and I saw all of the things you had to do for it, along with the testing and the verification, and I actually retracted, and in the back of my head at that time was like, you're not good enough. And so I stopped the entry, and the last day that it was due, I got another reminder, and it was on a Sunday. And I got a reminder in my inbox going, your award entry is incomplete. And I just went, what the heck? Just
bloody
do
hell,
it. And use it as feedback, Jacine. Don't worry about it. Just use it as feedback, because they had said they would give everyone feedback. And I went, okay. I thought, well, I'll just enter it. I'm never going to win. That was what was going through my head. I'm never going to win, but I'll just enter it anyway. And then so when we found out we were finalists, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow. And it was, I think everyone has an element of imposter syndrome. Like, I've been getting told for years that my formulas were ahead of their time, that I was like, there's nothing like me on the market, that I was innovative. And at the time, I thought people were just, just being, inflating my ego, basically. I thought, maybe they're just being nice to me. And then when we won, I was just like, wow. Like, it was just incredible. And, you know, now we've got 3 finalists for next year in cosmetic innovation, and we only entered three categories, and every single one we're a finalist in. And which is, again, such a beautiful testimony to our research and our innovation, because that is what we are as a brand. And to have that recognized again for a second year in a row with every single product we submitted was just unbelievable. I was really honored to make it to the finals. So but it was a huge award. And I think particularly for Australia, it's great because we often think of Europe for beauty, not Australia. So it was really good to be able to highlight, you know, what's in Australia as far as chemists and products and things as well. So it was pretty special.
Yep, I agree. And then, you know, we're just about to end the podcast. What would be really nice to hear more about is the future for Rococo Botanicals in terms of what you're planning ahead. How can people find you? What are the key things that people should know about the company in terms of results you've been able to create for them?
Yeah. So for the future, we are definitely bringing out a day cream with SPF next year, which will be phenomenal because this will be our first product with sunscreen in.
Okay, yeah.
And we do, that's huge for us. So we do plan on going into Canada next year. We got a little bit delayed. It was meant to be this year, but because America changed their regulations. And we'll also have our eye very much on India. And it's quite ironic because a lot of our ingredients are Vedic. And so we already have them in our product, and it almost seems like a natural marriage. So we'll be going over there to see how we can explore that more. With our products, we've done everything from eczema to acne to rosacea to just general aging and pigmentation. And that's what I love. Like, my big thing that I really love is when a customer reaches out and actually says, "Can you help me?" And I only got one of those about 2 months ago from a customer who could not find a solution for their skin issue. They've been to dermatologists. There's no solution for them. And so we're trying to find something for them. And we never charge them for that. We just hope that we can fix the problem because there'll be other people with the same problem. And so hopefully eventually we'll be able to crack that. But so our website, if anyone does want to have a look, is www.
Yep, great. Well, it's lovely to have you on the show, Jacine.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.